Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about the number one mistake people make when they're trying to go out and find a independent caregiver on their own without my agency or other agencies' help. And so, finding an independent caregiver out there is kind of a little bit like the Wild West. It's filled with all these horror stories of, things that have gone wrong, especially when you skip the background and screening process that a company like mine does. So, I've been stood up a lot at Starbucks waiting for a caregiver to show up, and I always think that that's a good sign. That means that my client isn't getting stood up by this person. So, I've been lied to in interviews. I've thought somebody was really nice or really normal looking, and it turns out that they're not at all because the background screening comes back, or we're checking references and those things don't line up with what the caregiver is saying. And this isn't a super complicated process, but it's a very time consuming process. Of the 10 people that apply for a job, maybe 5 of them get selected to be interviewed, and then half of them will get selected, maybe 2 or 3 get selected to actually pass all of our criteria. So, it's a very difficult and thorough process that we go through to select people, and we got to be picky, right? We got to do that. So if you're finding an independent caregiver on your own, these are the types of things that you need to make sure you're doing. You got to make sure that you're running a background check, a criminal background check on people, and you got to make sure that you're going back to all the different places. If you're doing a background check, you want to make sure that you're doing it in the states or the counties that they have lived in before, and that can get a little complicated sometimes. The other thing you want to do is check references. You got to check the references of the people that have worked with them before. So you're not just checking a character reference from their best friend. You really want to work with somebody that they've done this type of work with, and make sure that was satisfactory. Obviously, you want to look for a TB test. That's one of the standards in our industry. We provide liability insurance. It's a good statement from somebody that they're a legitimate caregiver when they have their own liability insurance. So that's something to be looking for. And then, of course, asking the right questions on an interview. There's lots of great resources out there. There's GPT, which is the AI models out there that you can ask them what questions to ask in an interview. But we do this a lot as well, and we kind of specialize some of the interview questions depending on what we're looking for at the time. Most of the caregivers with my agency, they've been with us for years. We've been around 10 years doing this, and knock on wood, we've had some really good luck, because we are so choosy, which I am so choosy. I meet everybody myself. Really, it all comes back to understanding how reliable the caregiver is. So, measuring, their reliability is important. Obviously, how much it costs for that caregiver. A lot of caregivers are now charging as much as an agency would charge because they can get that, so maybe they're charging too much. And then, what is their personality like? You're going to have to spend a lot of time with that person. So make sure that the personality is a fit. If you'd like to work with the people that I've already gone through and screened in the San Luis Obispo Caregiver Network, give me a call and I can talk you through how this process works. We work with a third-party payroll company. We do a lot of things to ensure that things are compliant, so we're not putting any of our clients at risk. So give me a call and we can chat about all the things that we do and find a good fit for you. All right, talk to you soon.